Hello and welcome to episode 9. Oh, episode 8. I think that might be incorrect. I might have screwed that up. But anyways, welcome to another episode of Party Chat, where we talk about fun video game related topics. We have the guest is running a few minutes late, so I'm hoping he'll hop in here in a minute. And I haven't heard from Ryan, so I don't know if he'll be here today. But as always, I have my amazing co-host Mark the Cyborg joining me for another episode. Thank you for joining me. How have you been?
Growling puppies, but I've been good. I've been playing a lot of RoboCop.
Okay, yeah. So we'll get started with we kind of skipped over it last week because we had so many topics I wanted to cover. But I usually like opening up with what you've been playing lately. So, what are your first impressions on the RoboCop game?
I think it's like far and away the best RoboCop video game that's ever been made. And it's not up against a lot, and the best one's probably RoboCop versus Terminator. And funny enough, this studio made a Terminator game as well.
I was just going to ask you if you played that.
Yeah, I've been jumping back and forth between them on my stream. It's been fun.
I have not played it yet. I do have it in my backlog. That's Terminator Resistance, right?
Yeah,
and I've heard good things about it, so I'm looking forward to playing that at some point. So,
yeah, pretty good.
Well, cool. Yeah, I was going to say I don't think RoboCop games have a great track record, so it's not a high bar to clear. But it's good to hear that it's actually a decent game.
There's probably been like 4 made ever. So I mean, it's not like there's a whole ton of them that have ever come out.
Yeah, unless you count maybe what was that MK9 that had RoboCop in it as one of the fighters.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't count stuff like that. I think calling MK9 a RoboCop game is silly.
Yeah, James is in the chat. He knows how much it is, and he says that Terminator Resistance is amazing too. And we go back and forth on a bunch of games on whether they are or aren't games in their franchise, notably Zelda and the Hyrule Warriors. But we got James in the chat. Hello, James and Kay. I was on with their town hall last night until like 2 in the morning. That was a blast. Had so much fun, as well as Jerry Crow was there. We had so much fun. And then they were on Gamers Got a Game podcast this morning, which I watched part of. I'm going to catch up on the rest of that probably later today. But thanks for joining us in chat. And so I'll start off with a little bit about what I've been playing, which funny enough, I realized about 5 minutes after I ended our so Dude1286 and I started a new monthly stream last night called Achievement Chasers because we are both achievement hunters, and we are going to be talking. We talked about the achievements that we had been hunting over the last month and what we were planning on achieving over the next month. And about 5 minutes after that stream was over, I realized that I completely forgot to mention one of the games that I had just started because I'm panic playing it because it's going to leave Game Pass in the middle of the month, and it is a Metroidvania, and that is Ghost Song. So it's very 2D Souls-like in that it's got save points that regenerate your the enemies, and when you die, you lose all your money, and you have to go back to where you died to pick it back up again. And another thing that's really annoying, because I really don't like that feature in games. It's kind of annoying. But what makes it worse, it adds insult to injury, is that every time you die, it takes a little bit of it reduces your max health a little bit. So in order to regain that, you actually have to go to one of these few points on the map where you can upgrade your character, and you have to spend money to get that health back. So I had heard good things about other people who had played Ghost Song so far, but so far I'm not really a huge fan of it. Probably a similar one that I played earlier this year, Ender Lilies, is very similar, except Ghost Song is gun-based, so it's more Metroid-like than Dark Souls, where Ender Lilies was all melee combat-based. But so far, I liked Ender Lilies more than I have liked Ghost Song. But I've only played it for probably about 2 hours or so. Maybe it'll grow on me because I have had a few games like that, like Blasphemous, which I mentioned. After I got a few hours into it, then it really started to grow on me. So
and Blasphemous 2 just came out too.
Yeah, Blasphemous 2 came out recently. It's I'm planning on playing that at some point. I don't know when, but I definitely, absolutely will be playing that at some point. So, um, and James is saying gotta do more drunk streams. Yep, that was a lot of fun. And Insidious Bliss is here. Hello, thank you for joining me for party chat. And my good buddy Nerdporeal Lifeform is here as well. Figured to drop by and pay tribute. Bully Neo bullies me into it. And as I said that, my awesome guest and another good friend of mine, Paul Hadouken, hops in. Hello, Paul. Thanks for joining us today.
Howdy, howdy.
So, I know you were on. I was going to watch some Beelzebub last night, but the town square lasted longer than Beelzebub did. So
it lasted just as long. They went on till 4 a.m. and we started at 2 a.m. So what is the wrong with them?
I've got the Beelzebub in my playlist to catch up on to later. So,
nice.
What have you been playing lately?
That dog.
JoJo's very territorial.
Yeah. By the way, hi Mark. Nice to finally officially meet you. I've been playing some Deep Rock Galactic because I'm just hooked on that. What else? That's just a fun game you could hop in at any time, and it's like a forever game. What else? There was a game that just left Game Pass that looked super interesting.
Oh, I know exactly where you're going with this.
Is it the pixel art, Resident Evil one?
Yes.
Oh, what was it called? Signalis?
Signalis.
Yeah, I played a bit of Signalis. It's good.
For sure. Right on. It looked awesome. And luckily, Insidious Bliss saw me looking it over. He's like, here's $20, buy it. I'm like, oh, nice. I don't have to panic play it in a day.
Yeah, I was panic playing another game that just left Game Pass. Oh, yeah, I mentioned it last night on Achievement Chasers. Just a fun, goofy game, Kill It With Fire, where you do ridiculous weapons killing spiders. It was a shorter game, but that was a fun palate cleanser.
Before we move on too far from Signalis, there's a YouTuber named Under the Mayo that he brought up a really good point one time after playing Signalis, where he said Capcom is sitting on a gold mine if just once a year, in addition to the first-person Resident Evils and the Resident Evil 4 style third-person action Resident Evils, they just do, hey, let's make it the GameCube remake style art style, just beautiful visual character models and amazing pre-rendered backgrounds that are in like 8K or something crazy like that, and have a traditional kind of tank control style Resident Evil game. Maybe tighten up the combat a little bit, have some way to aim a little bit more accurately so that people don't find it as clunky, like Signalis you'll notice has. In Signalis, basically, when you aim at a target, you have a little box that comes over them, and the longer you stay on, the box gets smaller, and it's more likely that you're going to get a hit and do more damage. And so it kind of takes the Resident Evil style of just, you walk into a room, there's an enemy, you can't move while you're aiming, you got to just aim, and the longer you aim, the more damage your bullet's going to do, and the more likely you are to not waste a round. So I don't know. I think they would make a lot of money if they did that. Had just $40 or $30 or something like that. Just make them cheaper and have a small team. Just crank them out. Be like, we'll have just a random Jill Valentine story or Claire Redfield story or Chris Redfield story or Leon story even. And yeah, I think people would eat that up.
I'm sure James in chat is going, no, we don't need more tank controls. But screw you, James. Not everything has to be up to your standards, Melee games.
Well, I mean, not necessarily tank controls, because I mean, even the GameCube versions, if you play them on Steam, there's a more modern kind of analog style control scheme, but it's still that style because it tank control, I guess what I mean is static backgrounds.
Right.
You're going from like a static background to a static background to a static and the tank controls primarily were to prevent the player from getting disoriented by wondering which way forward was. So up is always forward, and you got to look at where your character is looking in order to see which way they're going, and you do get used to it after a while. But I think the modern controls and Resident Evil remake, if you play them now, they're pretty good. And by that I mean remake and zero.
Right. That's funny. I just learned about those modern controls when James was doing Melee Games was doing Steam Roulette, and they landed, or Horror Roulette, and they landed on the OG Resident Evil, and someone's like, modern controls. I'm like, what's this modern control crap? I'm still used to tanks. Give me tanks any day. I'm old school.
Yeah. The last game I probably played that was by default was tank controls was Grim Fandango last year at some point. If you play it with like the keyboard and mouse or the controller, but I played it on PC, so I could just use my mouse to tell it where to go, and it made it way easier.
Oh yeah,
Controls are, yeah, as James said in the chat, they're the worst. But yeah, I'm not big on that genre of game, but I know that it is a huge genre, so I think that's a great idea, and they could definitely crank out those, smaller AA indie/indie games, and they could probably make a good pretty penny on those.
Yeah. I was gonna say, Game Pass has a great. When games are the leaving soon page of Game Pass is the best selling thing for like indie games or something, because you just let me check it out real quick. Holy shit, this is awesome! It's leaving in a week, and it's on sale while it's still on Game Pass. Oh fuck, I gotta buy it. So now there's panic buying, but man, it really shows you some really cool stuff. Like I think the last couple leaving soons, I found something amazing in it. So it's kind of a nice little advertisement for little indie games that normally people wouldn't run into.
Yeah, I know a lot of people think that like Game Pass is like this bad thing for indie devs, but from what I've heard a lot directly from indie devs in their comments and articles and stuff is that it actually helps boost their sales.
Right.
Also, there's some security in not wondering if they're going to sell anything at all, because it's like, well, a game could come out, get some 4 out of 10s from the mainstream outlets, and then no one's just ever going to buy it. Whereas Game Pass, we have some guaranteed money on day one.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, and James agrees. He says Grim Fandango is amazing, and
he likes all.
Never got a sequel, but he loves his point and clicks.
He loves his point and clicks.
That was in like the heyday of the point and clicks.
Yeah. Back to what else I was playing. A little bit of Grounded, because I still love that game, and I'm trying to finish that.
Grounded for you is like Subnautica for me.
Yeah, and it's funny. Oh man, my girl had a great idea because as you know, she's a master builder in any building game, 8,000 hours in Ark. And she's like, hey, we should do like a cribs version of some like pick a random game that has base building, Valheim, Grounded, Ark, whatever. And do some cribs where you do a tour of someone's base, depending on like the size of the base. But the bases my girl builds is like, she builds mansions, and she's like, come to my kitchen, it's all set up, and she decorates it. And I'm like, hey, that's a pretty good idea. So I might do a show like that where it's kind of like cribs meets video game cribs.
That would be fun.
Shad had like a crazy castle in Conan Exiles.
Okay.
The girl used to play it, and like they would all hang out in Shad's castle.
I haven't played it, but I've heard about it. But I didn't realize it had that level of detail in building. Crafting.
It's Conan Exiles kind of looks like Valheim, or plays like Valheim, but it looks a lot nicer. It's more sort of flashy looking. So when you build a really nice castle, it's like, oh, holy shit, look at this thing.
Yep.
And I have to go back to this one. Kay and Jane versus Paul and I versus Gwen. Yes, let's do that. That would be fun. We'll have to do that at some point. I love that.
Oh my god, dude! Last night I told the story on Pielza Pub, and then I hopped in Dermy. Dermy was doing a movie watch party on his Discord, and I popped in that, and I told the stories 2 times last night. Kay, if you're listening, you are so mean. Oh my god. The Nerdy Neo is just trying to tell you about his love. Go watch back, Kay. In the moment when he said, "Oh, I like Ocarina,"
she's like, I'm sorry if I was too aggressive last night,
dude.
I was like, no, it's all good. It's so much fun.
Hold on, let me reenact it. You go, yeah, I like Ocarina.
I like Ocarina of Time,
and she goes, oh, you like Ocarina of Time? Oh, you like Ocarina of Time?
She didn't do that.
You are so mean, Kay. Oh my god.
It's all in good fun. And we have another person in the chat, Matt Cave. Hello, dude. Glad to see you here. Thanks for joining us for Party Chat. So with that, we'll get into our first topic for the day. And I actually didn't have an answer to this question until about 30 minutes ago, because I just thought, because I had this question lined up in my list of questions that I've been coming up with for years. I had this question a long time ago, but I never actually put any thought into it to figure out what my answer was to it. But so we're going to start off today with what console had the best launch lineup. And I actually had to do some research on this one because I forgot to last night, and I had to do some panic research this morning and look at all the consoles that I've played at least and look through their launch lineups to even find out what I thought was the best launch lineup. But I'm going to save that for last. Paul, do you want to go first on this one?
I'm doing some panic researching now.
Okay. Then, Mark, do you want to go, or do you guys both need? I'll go first.
I
need
think
some time to think.
I don't know. I think I might have a pretty easy answer because I think I could use 2, maybe even 3, but more accurately 2 console launches to make this point, and so either of them could theoretically win this. But the original Xbox and the Super NES, and the reason it's those 2 is because it's not so much the whole launch lineup as having a whole bunch of different games to play at launch. Is one of their best games came out at launch.
Yes.
So Halo and
with
Super Mario World, I think those are both games that you could buy a console and have that game and make the argument that this one game makes buying this console kind of worthwhile. Because especially if you got really into playing Halo multiplayer with your friends, it was like that was the most economical purchase you could ever make, is buying Halo. Because that prevented you from buying all sorts of other games that you might have bought because, hey, you're just, what's the plan? What game are we playing today when we're going to go hang out at Buddy's house? And if the answer is just, well, we're just going to play Halo, no one has to buy anything new, right? And Super Mario World is just, it's you can replay the hell out of that thing.
Oh yeah,
we talked about
with
it
the
last night.
Oh right. I was gonna say also with the SNES came F-Zero that also launched with it.
Yeah, the original F-Zero.
SimCity, Gradius 3.
I believe there's one more.
I mean, most launch lineup will have like at least 1 or 2 games that are halfway decent. I guess I'll give some honorable mentions to PS2 having SSX and Time Splitters. I think was a good kind of 1-2 punch of very different games. And Tekken Tag Tournament as well.
Yep.
As well as Ridge Racer 4 and Ridge Racer 4. Yeah. So, yeah, PS2 has probably got the most well-rounded one because there was a pretty solid one of almost every kind of game that came out on it. And Dreamcast had Soul Calibur and a bunch of what was the board they used? I forget what it was, but there was the Sega arcade board was effectively just a Dreamcast, and it had been the one they'd been using for like 2 years. So there were a bunch of arcade games, like Crazy Taxi being a good example of one. There were a bunch of arcade games that had been using Dreamcast hardware. So now Sega was like, hey, this arcade hardware, because back then you would still go to arcades in like the late 90s. Hey, these games you've been playing in the arcades, yeah, it's just exactly that at home. It's not even, we're not toning it down at all. It's precisely Soul Calibur, and now it's here. Or like, I don't know, like, not Zombie Revenge, House of the Dead.
But now it's too.
Like at home, or Crazy Taxi again. Like
Power Stone.
I don't know.
You guys ever played Power Stone?
I don't know. I have. I don't know if Power Stone was I don't think it was.
It was really? A notable. Yeah. It says Power Stone, also a notable mention, along with House of the Dead 2 as launch titles.
Yeah. So House of the Dead 2 was a pretty big one at launch. Zombie Revenge was another one that was actually pretty well liked at the time. But I mean, those ones are harder to make the argument because I mean, a lot of people don't remember Zombie Revenge. But yeah, I think the Dreamcast had a really solid one.
I didn't have a Dreamcast, but I played it.
Xbox 360 had a notably kind of bad one because everyone was thinking Perfect Dark Zero was going to be like, that's the next Halo. Like now the GoldenEye developers are coming back and they're going to take the console FPS party 4-player split screen throne back, and Perfect Dark Zero was like kind of okay at most.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think the best launch title for the Xbox 360 was probably Peter Jackson's King Kong.
No. Well, so I'm going to take it from here then, because But yeah, one thing I was just going to say about the Dreamcast, I didn't have one, but I had a friend who had it. But when I think of Dreamcast and or Crazy Taxi, they basically go hand in hand to each other in my mind. So I can't think about one without the other. But I'm going to go on the opposite side of that because my answer is the Xbox 360. Yes, PDZ was okay and didn't live up to the hype and what we were expecting from like the next GoldenEye, given that it was a rareware game. And GoldenEye and Perfect Dark were my top favorite games from the N64, along with Ocarina of Time. So PDZ did get a lot of hate, but I don't think it was as bad as most people considered it. But I think it had a very well-rounded launch lineup because we had. I was never really into SSX, but I did like snowboarding. Was like when I was in high school, I was considering moving to Canada and going pro because snowboarding is like my favorite thing to do ever. I don't do it as much now because I don't know. It's gotten ridiculously expensive. I don't have as much time for it, but I love snowboarding. So I was never really into SSX, but I did like the Amped game. So Amp 3 was a launch title. We had COD 2. I'm not really big on sports games. There were a bunch of sports games. There was FIFA, Madden. There were 2 NBA games. There was PGA. I never played Gun, but I heard that game was actually pretty good. And that's actually come up on a couple of my streams just recently. Cameo was another rareware game, which was like a third-person adventure game. Never played it, but I think it has a bit of a cult following. One of my other favorites from the launch was the Need for Speed Most Wanted from 2005. I loved that game. That falls in the category of some of the things I mentioned in like my last 2 streams is how there's this habit of calling a new game the exact same name as a previous game. Like we've got Modern Warfare 1, 2, and 3 from the 2000s, and we have Modern Warfare 1, 2, and 3 from 2018 to, I think the new one comes out next week. You'd have Lords of the Fallen, which was there was already a Lords of the Fallen a few years ago, but
they added the first one was Lords of the Fallen, and the new one is the Lords of the Fallen.
It's like the movie Arrival and The Arrival. It's like I can never keep straight which one's which.
Worse is Suicide Squad because like it's technically kind of a sequel, so it's just
there's Suicide Squad and The Suicide Squad too for movies.
They're just vanilla icing it. It's just that one little thing.
See, theirs goes doon 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 doon.
Ours goes.
Vanilla Ice and Queen.
See how that's different? It's like,
oh my god!
But I know that they did
same logic.
They did another Most Wanted in like 2015 or something. I haven't played that one, but I really loved the 2005 Modern Warfare. I liked PDZ. It was a disappointment compared to the first one because that was one of my favorite games ever. There was the King Kong game, which is usually well regarded, especially when you're talking about movie video games. But even more than Need for Speed Most Wanted, probably my favorite launch title from the 360 was PGR 3. Project Gotham Racing 3 was an excellent racing game.
With Call of Duty 2, I think the issue there was the controls in Call of Duty 2 I don't think are quite as tight as they are in Modern Warfare, and I think that a big part of that was them adding the snap aiming and really increasing the auto aim so that it feels better to shoot with the controller. But I think Call of Duty, because it was only on PC, a lot of people thought of Call of Duty 2 as just, this is just kind of a lazy PC port. And so it didn't really have the crazy kind of fervor that everyone goes nuts over Call of Duty with, at least not so much anymore, I suppose, because they hear Modern Warfare 3 is like absolutely atrocious. I've not played it, but it's just most of the reviews I'm seeing on it are like, this is just flat out bad. And it basically is Modern Warfare 2 DLC that they decided to just package as a third game. But
I found out this week that even like the achievements, it doesn't have its own standalone list. It's tied in as a DLC for Modern Warfare 2 for a few years. So kind of like the Halo Infinite campaign is a DLC to the multiplayer.
I guess, though, that a lot of people, especially at that time when Call of Duty and Medal of Honor were primarily PC titles. I mean, like Frontline, I think, came out at it would have by Xbox 360's launch, right? But anyways, Medal of Honor and Allied Assault was kind of the big Medal of Honor game. Call of Duty was the Activision game made by the Medal of Honor Allied Assault guys, and Call of Duty 2 was just their next game. So most people kind of viewed Call of Duty 2 on Xbox 360 as yeah, I guess you could play it there as opposed to like where you should play it, which is hilarious because now Call of Duty is like the console first-person shooter.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty wild. But that only happened with Call of Duty 4. Call of Duty 3 was arguably like a cash-in game to a lot of people. They're just like, oh, this is just more Call of Duty 2, like whatever.
So before I continue on, yes, James is with me. PGR3 was gorgeous and had a great soundtrack too. I found a lot of new bands from that.
X-Ray Girls playing Party Animals. I found too. The vent that X-Ray Girl's office is attached to is pretty close to where her microphone is. So if I turn her microphone on, now you can hear me like echoing through there. When she screams or something while she's playing a game upstairs, you'll be able to hear it.
Oh, I've been hearing it this whole time.
No, you'll be able to hear
it better
if I left this microphone on, because especially right now, it's almost pointed up right to the vent. So I was like, oh wow, that could be a problem.
That's funny. That's funny.
Put a little soundproof thing in that vent right there, a little filter, dampen some of the sound.
You don't need any air
to do with my air conditioning. I'm not tampering with it in the slightest because I need a cool environment.
So, same. Another racing game that was on the launch was the Ridge Racer 6, which I didn't play, but I know that's a pretty popular franchise. But I know a franchise that is very near and dear to Mark's heart that was a launch title for the 360 was Quake 4. Although I haven't played any Quake games, but I don't know how good that was. But
kind of the same deal as Quake 2, as Call of Duty 2. It's like, yeah, you could play Quake 4 on Xbox 360, and I did play that version, and it's not terrible. And it comes with Quake 2 on Xbox 360, which I still have and does not run on any Xbox 360 that I own. Not run on the new consoles. It doesn't run on my 360s. You needed like the launch version, like the old Red Ring one. There's something about the way they coded it, and that kind of blew
never heard of that.
Doesn't really matter now because this year Quake 2 Remastered came out, so it's on everything and it's wonderful. But
and DJ Access is in the chat saying, "Yo, what's up, DJ?"
Quake 4, though, funny the connection though between Quake 4 and Call of Duty is Quake 4 was made by Raven Software, who's been stuck making Call of Duty stuff for the last little bit. Though
Raven
tweeted something about Hexen, so I don't know if Raven's like, hey, now that Microsoft owns us, we could make Hexen instead of just doing Call of Duty.
Please let that happen.
Well, because there was a rights dispute with Hexen because it was kind of owned by id and Raven, and when Activision owned Raven, that became a problem because it's like, well, we want to make Hexen because we made new Doom and Wolfenstein or whatever, and then Activision would be like, well, no, because we we also own Hexen, so do you want to pay us?
Yeah, my favorite thing from Raven is I didn't mention it as a Raven game, but I did mention it last night, is Jedi Outcast and Jedi Academy are phenomenal games.
They're both Raven as well. And then my favorite of theirs might be Singularity. Singularity is really good.
That looked cool, but I never got around to playing it.
Me neither, yeah.
It's good. You should try it. It's on GOG.
For sure.
Pretty sure it's probably on Steam as well. Oh, excuse me.
Right on. The only Raven software game that I really played was Soldier of Fortune. That game was I love
kind of the game that got them hired by no, actually wait, no, that was after Hexen and everything. That's I think what led to them being hired by Activision. But the most interesting one that's theirs though is Wolverine X-Men Origins.
Dude,
Wolverine.
they do Wolverine? That's a great game.
That's so good.
It was like an ultra bloody Wolverine God of War when the movie it's based on is PG-13 and it was an M-rated game.
One of the few times the game is better than the movie it's based on.
Absolutely.
And let's see, because the new
and it's an excellent game too.
About the new Spider-Man game, so I'm not sure if just I don't know if just the B team made Spider-Man 2 and everyone else has been working on Wolverine, but kind of hoping that's.
Are they working on a Wolverine game?
Yeah,
there's a new one.
Oh, yeah, got announced the same day Spider-Man 2 got announced. They showed the Spider-Man trailer and then the Wolverine one.
Oh, I haven't.
As long as Sweet Baby Ink doesn't touch.
Yeah. Because the new Spider-Man games have well, the first one did come to Steam later, but it was a PS exclusive for a while, as Spider-Man 2 is a PlayStation exclusive. Is Wolverine going to be a similar thing where it's going to be a PlayStation exclusive for a while?
Yeah, no, it will. Yeah, like it'll be a PlayStation exclusive until I guess it eventually comes on PC. But because it's Insomniac, Sony owns Insomniac now. So
right. Yeah, it's funny how
doing day and date PC, which you should, Sony, then it'll be you need a PS5 to play it. But
okay.
Spider-Man 2 didn't run perfectly. I'll say that much.
So, and before we move on to Paul answering his question, we're kind of stalling so he can do some panic researching. But I just wanted to give a shout out to Matt Cave. He just tweeted out to give me some love, saying that I'm 11 subscribers away from hitting 100. So I just want to say thank you, dude. Nice. You are awesome. I appreciate that. You rock. So, Paul, you figured out what you think is the best launch lineup?
You know, it's funny because I'm looking at like a top 10 list, and Mark literally named the number 1, number 2, and number 3.
That does not surprise me in the least.
Oh, really?
Yeah, SNES was number 1. I was PS2 number 2, Dreamcast number 3.
So when I was doing a little bit of research before to figure out what console I thought had the best lineup, I thought some of those older consoles had more games than that. But yeah, I looked at like Super Nintendo had like 4, maybe 5 games. Like some of them only had like 2 games. I was like,
World, though,
wow.
Like that's the thing. It's like, and with Xbox, it's Halo. Like Halo was the thing that kind of made it worthwhile, you know.
So I personally don't really know
Matt.
which one.
You rock.
Probably, I was gonna say I'd probably agree with that SNES lineup, but screw it. Let's see what the rest of this top 10 is. Number 4 is PS5 with Demon Souls, Spider-Man Miles Morales. Probably Demon Souls is the only thing that
those are the only 2, really. Like there was nothing else.
Yeah,
kind of like Series X. It was basically just Xbox One games that were enhanced for the Series X. Not a huge lineup.
I mean like that's what all video games are, man. I keep telling. Like it's the idea is just like no, this one's really made for this one. It's like, yeah, Spider-Man 2 was made specifically for the PS5, and it's got tons of frame hitches anytime you're in the open world swinging. It's not perfect, even if in its performance mode. So it's like, well, I don't know that I buy that. Well, this was made for this one. It's like, no, the target spec for this can run on this system. It's good because honestly, I think that if they started developing more games for PS4, Xbox One target, we'd have a lot of PS5 and Xbox Series games that look really good and run really good. And because right now we're getting a lot that run like shit and look very nice if you pause them. But like, I don't know, like I like playing my video games, not taking photos in photo mode, you know?
Yeah, I'm not big on photo mode either. So what rounds out the rest of that list, Paul? I'm curious.
Let's see. Number 5 is Game Boy Advanced, with games like ports of Rayman, Super Mario Brothers 2, and this Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2.
I had that on Game Boy Advance. I love that game.
I actually like that isometric Tony Hawk Pro Skater version
too.
Yep.
Right on.
Like Activision Studios that got swallowed.
I never played the actual console version of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 until the 1+2 remake a couple years ago.
Okay.
But so the only Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 I played back in the day was the Game Boy Advance version. And after playing that and now playing the 1+2 and actually playing those maps in a console version, they're like 1 for 1. It's just a different camera angle. They did a great job of making those Tony Hawk maps on a Game Boy Advance.
Let's see here. Number 6 is the NES, which, you know, those 17 titles. Damn, 17 titles. You know, Mario Brothers, Duck Hunt. I'm guessing what, like Excite Bike. It's not giving me all the the original titles, but NES had a good launch, man. 17 titles, that's decent.
Yeah, especially a lot of those older consoles, like I said, only had a couple of titles, so that's quite a lineup.
Right. Let's see here. Number 7, the Xbox Series X. What do you even
Ori
have
the Will of the
here?
Wisp.
Giving me
One of my favorite games of all time.
Ori. At launch,
it was already out, but it was one of the first games to take advantage of the increased power of the Series X.
It's not even giving me a game in here. It's just being like, well, although it didn't have that much games, it's like that's the whole purpose of this list. This list sucks. It says number 8.
I'm not sure, really.
Yeah, right. What did launch with the Series X? Nothing really good. Nothing important.
Ori.
Shit, nothing launched with the Series X, really. Let's see. Number 8 is Switch. Let's see. It launched with Breath of the Wild, so that's pretty good. Is that about it? I think that's about it. That's sane.
Yeah, with Switch, it was just Breath of the Wild.
Right.
I always remember being in a wheelchair at Walmart on the Switch launch day when they came out and did the kind of like hype up the crowd thing, like, hey, all people here to get a Nintendo Switch. And when people were like, yeah, who's here to play Breath of the Wild? Like everyone cheers. And then it was like, who's here to get Just Dance 2017? And I'm like, whoa.
The guy in the
the guy in the wheelchair. That's hilarious.
Or like that's like they didn't really like. We're like, who's getting 1, 2?
They felt very uncomfortable.
Puppy. I lost my puppy.
That's funny.
It's okay. Puppy.
All right, the last 2 on the list.
Oh, hey, boo.
Puppy. Now I have a kitty over here.
Yeah.
Hi, kitty. Last 2. Number 9, N64 with Super Mario 64 and Pilot Wing 64.
Yeah,
I thought there were more launch titles for the N64.
Really, you just mean Super Mario 64. It's the only one anyone cared about. No one got
it.
Right.
I got Pilot Wings on Super Nintendo.
I had Pilot Wings on Super Nintendo, and I played it on N64, but I never owned it on N64.
Right, and the last one, number 10, is the original Xbox.
Oh, I'm surprised it's that far down the list, but
I know, number 10.
Halo and Munch's Odyssey, Dead or Alive 3. Like, I mean, it was pretty good.
That was probably going to be my second choice.
I mean, it was mine. Like I said, Super NES and Xbox, I think, are kind of the 2 that I put at the top. My runners-up were actually PS2 and Dreamcast. Like, I would have put Xbox above PS2 or Dreamcast, mostly because of Halo. Like, because that's the thing. It's like the value of that title being as significant as it was for as long as it was is kind of crazy. When it's like, well, one of the first games that ever came out on this system was like a generation defining console shooter. Like console shooters have never been the same since Halo came out.
Yeah, the 2 biggest console defining first person shooters, probably GoldenEye and Halo.
Yeah, and I would only argue that GoldenEye made the idea of having 4 controllers and a 4-way split screen appealing to people. And like it has some good mission design and stuff, but I'm still like, man, like that game ran so poorly. Like it was terrible to play.
Well, yeah,
but we loved it
for us console plebes because he was a PC Quake player back then and going.
That's the thing. Like I was playing Quake 2 at the time, and I was just like, wait, guys, I've got Quake 2 at home. You want to play Quake 2? Like, no, Quake 2 doesn't have James Bond, bro. And I'm just like, I mean, I probably have watched more Bond movies than you guys have, but also Quake's better.
Be like, Quake has frames.
Yeah, lots of them. No thing.
Like that Dave Chappelle meme. Y'all got any more of those frames?
Yeah.
So
that's hilarious.
And James is saying that the best Tony Hawk ever is 2X on Xbox, which I never played that one. So, and Matt Cave is saying that Black Box titles are some of the best. I don't know who Black Box is. Do you know who that is, Smark?
Black Box, aren't they an EA studio? Or are they the one who did Most Wanted?
I would have to look it up. I'm not even familiar with that name. And my good buddy Dude1286 is hopping in the chat saying howdy. Hello, dude. We had a great first episode of Achievement Chasers last night. So if you like listening to people talk about achievements, go check out our Achievement Chasers episode 1 that we did last night. It was a blast. And Matt is saying that GoldenEye coming to Switch finally was such a good move by Nintendo. Yeah. So, okay, so you listed a bunch of them.
Well, now, like, I mean, it's a pretty light game, but I think at the time on N64, I found it overrated.
Understandable. But Paul, what would be your personal pick for best launch lineup?
I probably got to agree with the SNES. You know, Super Mario World, F-Zero, some of my favorite games back then. And
Final Fight, a launch game as well. Final Fight.
Oh my god, too. That was. It's funny because I was just thinking about that game as a game that defined me for Melee Town Square last night.
Didn't make it too
because that was one of the first games I got on the Super Nintendo. I remember there's a Christmas video.
I remember the first 3 video games I ever owned in order, and it was Super Mario World, Final Fight, and Super Ghouls and Ghosts. So I'll be the fan
Nice.
of my parents coming home from New York and giving me the Super Nintendo with Super Mario World because it wasn't available in Canada yet. So they were on a trip and they bought me one. And then on Christmas, I got Final Fight. And after we finished opening all of our other presents, because I thought I already got my game that I was going to get, my dad left Super Ghouls and Ghosts in the fireplace. And
Hopefully
like,
not while it was on.
I had to drop something, and yeah, I'll always remember that moment. It's a good childhood memory. And then
That's
it
awesome.
became one of the most. To this day, might be the most difficult game I've ever played.
Oh yeah,
That's definitely one of those
but yeah,
old school
I love
difficult
Final.
games.
I love Final Fight. That really just my love for beat 'em ups just that was so good. I loved it. What was my second choice? Probably the NES. I liked all those titles they had. Those were some decent titles for the NES. That'd probably be my answer.
Okay, cool. And Matt made some clarification. He's saying that they were nicknamed black box titles, and that's because they all had the same box style.
Had the block.
Okay.
Yeah, the original NES. Yeah, that's what he meant. The black box
Gotcha.
titles.
Okay, yes.
Right on.
Now that I'm on tracking, I agree.
Yes.
So.
And yeah, those black box titles were decent. So yeah. That's why I choose the NES.
And
I believe there is a Black Box Studios, and I'm pretty sure they're an EA Need for Speed studio.
Okay.
I might be wrong.
But it definitely sounds like the name of a developer or a publisher or something. So but Matt Cave, his dad picked up NES during his initial North American release in Manhattan, and he'll never forget it as well. So it sounds like he has a very similar recollection of it as you do, Mark. So, but yeah, I thought, given that it is November and this is the big release month for consoles and games, I thought talking about release stuff would be a fun topic for this episode of Party Chat. So, moving on into our second, this one might kind of go a little quick because we kind of already talked about it a lot. But the next question here is, what was your favorite launch title? And as Mark mentioned it a lot, for me, it was definitely the original Halo. I played the heck out of it. It was probably one of my favorite games in high school. I have some of the most fondest memories of it. LAN partying with all my soccer buddies, all the time, playing 8-player, have the LAN cord running down the hall. So, 4v4 and stuff. So much fun. Excellent game. Still holds up. Like you said, a genre-defining, console-defining game, if there ever was one. So for me, it was the original Halo. So, if you guys had to pick a favorite launch title,
I might go Final Fight.
Final Fight.
I might go Final Fight or F-Zero.
Okay? Because I don't even know if I've even heard of Final Fight before. Is that a fighting game or is it a beat 'em up?
It's a side-scrolling beat 'em up.
Okay,
yeah.
Made by Capcom,
and it's in the same universe as Street Fighter now officially, because the city that you roam around in the Street Fighter 6 campaign is the city from Final Fight.
Metro City.
Yeah, they talk about Mike Hagar being the mayor, and now Cody's the mayor. So Cody and Mike are the two characters who you play as in Final Fight. And the mayor is this jack dude with an awesome mustache, for the record.
Oh yeah.
And Cody's this like blonde kind of pretty boy beat 'em up character dude who's also like really jacked, but he's more lean and basically like a Jean-Claude Van Damme type character or something like that. And then I guess you have Guy as well, or Guy. I don't know what you want to call him, but he wasn't in the Super Nintendo version. He was in the Japanese release, and Canon is also a super Street Fighter character, and so they made it so that the story of Final Fight is now continued in Street Fighter 6, and now that Mike Hagar is retired, Cody is the new mayor. So I think that
I wouldn't be surprised if Capcom did what they did, like Streets of Rage 4 and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They should do a new Final Fight game.
Yeah, I mean, they have. Capcom hasn't done a Final Fight game in a very long time. They've released a lot of collections of it. The other thing about the connection between Cody and Mike is Mike's daughter is the one who's kidnapped in Final Fight, and it's Cody's girlfriend. So it's like
right,
the boyfriend and the girlfriend's dad and the girl's dad, like just basically go beat the shit out of a bunch of street thugs and go save the lady.
Okay. Yeah, I've never been big on fighting games or beat 'em ups. They've never really been my thing, so I'm not terribly familiar with. Although I recognize a lot of them, like I'd be able to name a lot of the fighting game characters and stuff, but it's never really been my thing, so I'm not familiar with it.
My favorite modern one's probably actually River City Girls. I recommend checking that out.
I remember watching you stream that a
oh,
while back.
Same universe as River City Ransom, which was an NES game too. But River City Girls is the premise of that one is actually their boyfriends who are the River City Ransom heroes get captured, and it's them being like, shit, our boyfriends got captured, so they go and just beat the shit out of everybody trying to get their boyfriends back. And in the prequel, you can play as all 4 of them. So I'm like, yeah.
Oh, nice. I actually played a lot of that with my girlfriend, River City Girls, and it's funny. Like every morning, like she'd come. We'd see each other. Like, you want to go save our boyfriends? that's our lingo for wanting to play. You want to play River City Girls? We're like, let's go save our boyfriends. We got it.
Yeah, it's fun. And the humor is very kind of mature. It's got almost kind of like a Kill la Kill vibe. Like if you've ever seen that anime, and
I've heard of it.
Works too. Who actually I think they made a Kill la Kill game, but they also make a bunch of anime based games like Dragon Ball Fighters. And they made Persona 4 Arena, which is a really good fighting game that I strongly recommend.
I didn't know there was any Persona games that weren't RPGs.
Yeah, Arc Works is a studio that I'd recommend following. They make a lot of good video games.
And
for sure.
All right, so I wanted to just address people in chat. See a new face here, Ted's Nerd World. Thank you for joining us for an episode of Party Chat. Welcome. We talk about fun video game related topics here on this show. And let's see here. I saw Goes Nowhere Does Nothing is here as well. Hello. Glad you could make it for Party Chat. I caught about the first half, I think, of your show this morning, so I will be catching the second half later today. And what? Oh, I saw that Matt said that he is loving this conversation, so I'm glad you're enjoying it. That's what I'm going for. So, Final Fight, and then Mark, if you had to pick a single favorite launch title, what do you think? It sounds like it'd probably be Super Mario or Halo.
Yeah, I'd probably say Super Mario World. I mean, if you said Halo, I'll just say Super Mario World. And hey, my review of Super Mario Wonder is going to be on my channel on Tuesday, I believe.
Okay, cool.
Overall, what'd you think of Wonder? Because everybody, it's
awesome. Yeah,
nice.
It's great.
Right
it might be the best one. Like
right on.
It might be the best one of all the Marios, which is strange to say because there's a lot of them. But it's like, oh yeah, okay, it's just Super Mario World, but it's new and has a lot of really fresh ideas and creative things happening all the time, and the levels are kind of brilliant. It's like, I like
I like the trippy Wonder effect. As a stoner,
I as well was I'm a big fan of how it played to my demographic.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, I figured that one would be kind of short because those two questions were kind of interlinked. But so now we'll kind of change it up for the next question. It has nothing to do with the last two. I thought this would be a fun topic to talk about. Who is your favorite video game antagonist?
Antagonist. That's bad guy, right?
The bad guy. Who's your favorite bad guy in a video game?
I don't know words. You know who's a good one that comes right off the top of my head? Handsome Jack from Borderlands 2.
That's an excellent answer. Very, very
a likable douchebag.
Yes, likable bad guy.
Yes.
And he was even more so in the actual Borderlands games, but he was great in the Tales from Borderlands. It wasn't technically him. It was like his AI that replaced him or something.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the AI that's living in your head, but it's like his personality, almost like the Joker is to Batman in Arkham Knight.
Right.
But he was great in that as well.
He was also, you get to play his doppelganger in the pre-sequel.
Okay, I never played pre-sequel, so
I didn't finish pre-sequel, but I liked pre-sequel. Pre-sequel was pretty good. Had a lot of moon gravity, like low gravity levels, and then there was like with the low gravity, there was like a stomp feature where if you jump really high, press the B, you just stomp on some people. So it pretty much played like Borderlands 2, except with the low gravity stuff. But
low gravity segments.
It was pretty heavy on the low gravity segments. It was almost like, hey, check out this little thing that we didn't put in the last game. But yeah, Handsome Jack's a pretty decent bad guy. I'm trying to think who else.
Good answer. Looking in chat, looks like we got a lot of love for Albert Wesker from Resident Evil.
Wesker, that is a good one.
I like Wesker. I don't think I'd pick him. I'm sort of torn between Kefka from Final Fantasy VI Revolver Ocelot, and maybe Kylian from Chained Echoes, which is a bit of a spoiler, I suppose.
And Ocelot is from which Metal Gear, right?
Yeah, he's from basically the entire first four.
Okay, yeah,
and 5, I guess. Yeah, so he's in all of the solid games. Yeah.
Okay. So, and then Ted's Nerd World came in with my answer as it jumped on me. GLaDOS. GLaDOS is one of my favorites. Excellent.
That's a good answer.
GLaDOS from what?
Portal and Portal 2.
Poor GLaDOS. Oh yeah. That is a good one.
The inspiration for the question was GLaDOS because you have this great kind of loving rivalry between the main character and Shell, which is almost kind of like my relationship with Kay. But yeah, great character. And excellent game. It was like a genre-defining game for the puzzle genre.
Oh yeah,
the Portal games are amazing and are fantastic. And I'm sad that we will likely never get a Portal 3 because Valve doesn't know how to count to 3.
Damn Valve. The cake is a lie. That's right, Matt Cave Gaming.
Yes, cake is a lie.
Honorable mention due though for Thor from God of War Ragnarok.
Okay.
I think they did some cool stuff with Thor. Odin as well. They were both really compelling antagonists.
Thor getting a lot of hate for being, another representation of Fat Thor.
However, whatever his design is, his writing is pretty solid. So when we're talking character, that's kind of the thing I'm mostly thinking about. Because I don't think Revolver Ocelot is by any means the coolest looking Metal Gear Solid character. I mean, honestly, I don't have it handy, but it's right over there. I have a poster of Gray Fox. I don't have a poster of Revolver Ocelot. But if it's my favorite villain, I'd say that you got to go with the writing, right? Like, I mean, that's kind of what you should be leading with, because otherwise it's just character design you're talking about.
Yeah. And dude saying he's a big fan of Raul Mendez from Black Ops 2.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah, but the Black Ops 2 antagonist, that's probably one of the best Call of Duty villains, I'd say.
And then DJ's coming in with Pagan Min from Far Cry 4 as a personal favorite.
Yeah.
Everyone loves that, but Pagan is my dude.
Far Cry 3 had a better antagonist.
You like Bass better?
What I like about Far Cry 4 is they make it so that the villain really doesn't want any trouble with you at all.
Is that the one where at the beginning you can just wait and
you can just join him on a helicopter and it's over.
Yeah, and I kind of like the idea that it's just like he's just like, why the hell are you doing any of this to me? And he's like, well, you're evil and you need to be stopped. He's like, okay, but I mean, aren't we here to like honor your mother?
That's funny.
Can we talk about it? It's like you kind of feel for Pagan Min. I mean, he's a bad guy. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that he was the good guy of the story or anything crazy like that. But yeah, no, I thought, and Troy Baker, I thought was pretty solid. One of his best.
Did he do Pagan Min?
Yeah.
That does not surprise me because we were talking about him on Achievement Chasers last night that he does like literally everything. He's in a lot of things, but every so often though he'll do a performance that's really great, and I think his best ones are in Death Stranding, in Far Cry 4, and probably The Last of Us, and The Last of Us Part 1, the original, then Joel. Yeah. Whenever I mention Troy Baker and they're like, "Who's that?" It's like probably the most well known for Joel from Last of Us.
Yeah, but I mean, I think the argument against people like Troy Baker and Laura Bailey and those guys, Nolan North, getting cast as much as they do, is that they're getting really overpaid for small roles that could be going to actors who actually need the work, and fewer people are getting paid to do just like voice acting. So it's like, well, if you guys are going to spend $50,000 on Troy Baker to deliver 5 lines, like why not spend $50,000 on 4 pretty decent voice actors to do all of these side characters,
Yeah, agreed.
But yeah, anyways, I mean, like the economics of game development is a whole big thing. But voice talent is a neat one, especially when you mix in celebrities. Because for example, the RoboCop game that I'm playing right now, most of the voice acting sucks. The vast majority of it does. But they have Peter Weller as RoboCop, and he's great. He's real, like he didn't phone it in. He's actually like delivering things the way RoboCop would deliver them, and you feel it while you're playing the game because he'll just deliver lines with that robotic wit where he's sounding really monotone, but there's still character to the way he says things because of like the rhythm of how he says it. And I think that you could make the argument that, well, maybe that was a good way to spend that budget. It's like, let's just blow the budget on getting the one celebrity, because honestly, he's who matters. The coders in the office will do the voices for the other characters. Who cares? Like that, we're here to see RoboCop. But it does hurt the game a little, because it's like, well, now every time you're talking to any other character, it seems like you're doing a side quest in a mobile game or something like that. Like it's it's pretty rough. But also RoboCop's a kind of B-level game. Like it's not a super high budget game. It looks really nice because it's Unreal Engine 5. I also think that hurts its performance. So their Terminator game runs a lot nicer, but it looks a lot more low budget though. RoboCop seems a lot snazzier. But what I mean though is I think that you could argue maybe Cyberpunk spent the money correctly on Idris Elba and RoboCop spent the money correctly on Peter Weller. But the thing with Nolan North and Laura Bailey is like, yeah, they're good, but most of the things that they're in, they're not sounding like themselves at all. So what's the point of spending as much money on them when other people need work? And then you could have more people who are, respected in the video game voice acting community, who then go on to become actual actors and things like, I really feel for video game voice actors though. I think they get the short end of the stick a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
Agreed.
Yeah, James says that he would love Left 4 Dead 3, Portal 3, and Team Fortress 3, as would pretty much any gamer. And we have a new
Counter-Strike 2, so that's
Counter-Strike 2. We did get one.
I haven't played it yet, but that's not insignificant. Like Valve just published a sequel to something, everybody.
One of their biggest games, yeah, honestly. It is.
Brand new beside one of their properties. So,
And Valve did that? I don't know why I thought somebody else took over and did Counter-Strike 2.
No. Valve owns Counter-Strike.
Right on.
It's like that is because Counter-Strike initially was a Half-Life mod.
Right.
Like
right.
Yeah. And
yeah. And so Goes Nowhere Does Nothing has another bad guy that I wouldn't know about because I've never played it, but Pizza Face from Pizza Tower. Someone was talking about it last night on the town hall that it's their game of the year.
Pimp Black Belt. He loves that game. He bought it for Melee Games. They played it. Pizza Tower looks like a fun game, honestly. I'm not going to lie.
It does look fun, but
honestly, I think I could keep on giving answers to that if I just went back and thought of RPGs I played, because there's a lot of RPGs that just have great villains, and I'm like, man, who is the primary antagonist in Trails in the Sky 2? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, we fought a lot of enemies, and there was that one guy who was the professor. So it's like, it's probably that guy, the researcher dude. But it's like, do I even remember his name? Well, now it's not coming to me, because it was just this big expansive story that it's basically the MCU of JRPGs, and I played 5 of them. I think they're up to like 11 now, so I'm still way behind, but I've still also played 5 80-hour JRPGs, and
that's a huge amount of time saved for those games.
Though was one of the strongest ones. That was really good.
Oh, and dude brought in a quote from, I believe it was Zangief in Wreck-It Ralph. Just because you are a bad guy does not mean you are a bad guy.
Yeah. Hilarious. Two more bad.
Mine said Street Fighter 6 taught me that that's pronounced Zangief, and I was like, oh shit.
That's bullshit. It's Zangief.
I don't say that.
I've been saying Zangief since 1992, but
yeah, I ain't changing.
I mean, it just means I read it wrong back then. I was 8. That's
dude. I thought
it's reasonable to think I just made the mistake,
Well, speaking of, because he's a Street Fighter character, right? And it's like a lot of people had that with Ryu, calling him Ryu for so long.
Yeah, I
called Ryu forever too.
It's my sweet baby Ryu right here.
Oh yeah, he's got the Ryu and Ken tattoo right there.
Well, see, the thing is, but now I know that Ryu is a Japanese name. I know it's just not just the name of a Street Fighter superhero. Like back then, I just thought Ryu was like a cool set of letters they put together for that guy. But now it's like, oh no, Ryu is a name. So I am pronouncing it wrong if I call Ryu in Street Fighter Ryu. So
and James is like, it's Zangief. I know what's real. I'm the same way with Ocarina of Time. There's no way in the world I will ever pronounce it Ocarina. It will not happen.
Oh, it's Ocarina? Yeah, I didn't even know that. But see, that's the thing. There's no voice acting in the Zelda games except for the Breath of the Wild games, really. So how does anyone know what Ocarina sounds like?
Because it is a real instrument. I mean, I've got one right there that I could actually play if I knew how.
Where is it from? Like what kind of word is it? I mean, like what language?
Someone in one of my streams, because we were talking about it one time, was saying that it was Italian. I was like, I'll have to take your word for it.
I mean, I am Italian, but I don't speak Italian, so I would have to ask an Italian person. Like, hey,
how's the resident Italian on the panel? What is your input, Mark?
Well, I don't speak Italian, so I'm useless here because I would have to just ask someone who speaks Italian and knows what that instrument is. Hey, how do you pronounce this thing? Hold it to them, and then they'll say it, and that's probably right.
I found it. So. Central America is the ancient home of the ocarina. 45,000 years ago.
That's interesting because that's a lot more complicated than Italian because that might not even be Spanish. It's probably
right.
Yeah.
It sounds like it could be. Just like I didn't say no way that's Italian when you said it was Italian. So if you told me it was Spanish, I believe you. But also, there's a lot of other languages in Central America.
Right. It says through the 4,500 years, integral part of the musical traditions of cultures from Mexico through the Andes until European colonization. So
until. After.
And James is admiring your very Italian stash, Mark.
Yeah. So, do you guys want the story behind the mustache?
I was going to say it did surprise me a little bit when I saw you right before we hopped on the stream. I was like, that looks different.
Still think it's fake.
So no, it's absolutely not like a.
All right, I believe you.
But anyways, so I have a beard usually, and I'm an army medic, and I work at a clinic at an army base, and we every 2 years have to get a fitting for our N95 masks, which are like the kind of masks you wear while you're painting and while hospital people wore during COVID a lot, and you have to like get that fit at the fire hall where they test the airflow and how much it's actually filtering and whatever, all sorts of stuff that they have to do, but you can't have hair on your chin because that's where the mask needs to seal, and it needs to be a perfect seal for them to properly test you. So I kind of had to shave. I was thinking like, well, I am also trying to leave the military, so I don't know if I'm really going to even need this qualification, so I could probably skip it. But earlier in the year, I took my niece and nephew to go see the Super Mario Brothers movie. And they apparently loved it because I just took them to see it the one time. It was one day for me, and I was like, yeah, I thought the kids will like it, whatever. Yeah, they go home. Apparently, they're both like obsessed with Super Mario now, and they don't have any video games at home. So they're
oh my goodness,
they're 6 and 4. They don't play games, but they do watch shows on like streaming and things like that. So they've just been watching the Super Mario Brothers movie like nonstop for the last year. So I was like, all right, so. November 2nd is the fit day, and the 2 children who I probably care about most in the world, like my sister's kids, both are obsessed with Super Mario Brothers, and it's Halloween. I think I can kill a couple birds here. And I was like, okay, so nice. I got dressed up as Super Mario. And then on Halloween night, I just wore what I normally wear, like my black t-shirt and my black beanie, and I threw my overalls on, and I was Doomer Mario, so like the Doomer meme. So it was like Mario if he became a nihilist.
Dark Mario.
Yeah. But it's just like he doesn't care about anything. It's like, what are you doing today? What doesn't matter? Anything?
What is anyone doing? Very existential crisis, Mario.
She's pretty. Whatever.
It goes nowhere, does nothing. Have a great little word. Oh, it jumped on me again. Little wordplay. So you had to stash away the rest of the beard.
Yeah, essentially. I was actually there was so much hair. I was like, could I like donate this to like people who make wigs and things? I was like, because it's a lot. Like my beard was pretty long actually when they cut it.
So, all right, we'll move on to potentially the last question because I have another stream immediately after this that I got to get to. But this question I wanted to put in here because I'm pretty sure I already know the answer for this for Paul, and I want him to tell the story again because it's fantastic. Assuming that's his answer to the question. But the next question I've got here is, what is one of your proudest moments in gaming? So, Paul, is that where you're going with this? I hope.
There's a couple of proud moments. Which one are you specifically talking about? The Resident Evil one or no?
No, the Rock Band one. At Best
Oh,
Buy.
that was a good one. That was a good one. Yeah, that is a pretty good moment. I'll tell that. That was that. Yeah, I worked at Best Buy. Rock Band 2 was coming out, and there was a drum set display for anyone to play and do. And I actually am a musician. I play guitar, drums, everything, and all that, as most people know. So I bet one of my coworkers, actually, I think it was my supervisor. I'm like, yo, I bet you $5 that I could play a song on hard and get 90% accuracy or more. And he's like, get out of here. No, I think I
never played it before.
I don't know if I never played it, but you know what? Yeah. I think no. I think I may have played I played Chop Suey by System of a Down, and I think I may have played it a few times before.
But not like practice it extensively.
I didn't practice extensively, but I play drums, so once I see the pattern, it's very easy to.
Yeah.
So I bet, and I didn't say hard. I think I said expert. On expert difficulty, I bet you I can get 90% or more. So he's like, fine, let's go. It was slow at the time, so I hop on the drums, start playing it, and I started recognizing the intro was just very repetitive. As I'm doing the intro, I like look over at him, and I'm still nailing it. He's like, what the fuck did I just bet? And I'm like staring at him as I'm doing the little intro thing.
Well, I'm not terrible at singing System of a Down, so if we ever can get a Rock Band thing together, we'll play Chop Suey.
Man, they need to do so, because Rock Band was very local. If they could somehow, well, because yeah, even with the slight lag delay, I think if you do some lag forgiveness, there should be a way to play over. I mean, they used to.
You can play them online.
I know, but it just didn't seem.
Yeah,
like it's not the same though when you're playing in the same room.
What I'm more talking about is like at a meetup.
Yeah. Okay. There we go.
The move would be at a meetup. Someone bring like a PS3 or an Xbox 360 that's just loaded with every Rock Band song.
Damn it, Mark! Why aren't you coming to Milwaukee? I would have brought my 360.
No, I don't have to leave from the army, and we also kind of can't afford it. We're not like loaded. I mean, I haven't, but I strategically bought things to make my set look nice. It's just
there's a little bit more to Paul's story. So.
Right. So there's So as I'm playing it, dude's like, oh well, shit, and then a group of just customers are like, what's going on here? So suddenly I'm surrounded by like all the customers in the store, and all the employees are all surrounding me like, what the hell? What's going on over here? I'm just focusing on the song. I look around. I'm like, oh, there's a bunch of people around me. Finish the song. I think I'm like pointing at the screen because I knew I did well. I'm like 95%. It was like exactly like 95 or 98%. I'm like, pay me, and he hands me $5. Everyone's like clapping, like, oh shit. So that was a pretty fun moment. That was pretty good.
Yeah, it's like one of those like gamer's dream is like you start playing a game so well, you like draw a crowd and blow everyone away.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because I play music, I play live shows, so I'm very used to it. So I was just like, that's funny that this video game is drawing a crowd. But I do have another proud moment. Was on the Resident Evil 5 launch. You
told me about that one as well.
I ended up buying the game at launch at midnight, taking it home, and that game had matchmaking online. I jumped in
for co-op, right?
For co-op, yeah. So I start a new game, midnight. I start a new game, search for matchmaking co-op, and then I link up with someone and we're playing. And it's chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. I'm like, oh man, cool. We don't have a mic. We didn't speak to each other at all. And we played, what was that game, like 6 hours long or 12? It wasn't 12. Was it 12 hours? Let me see real quick.
Not a terribly long game, but
hours.
I would probably say 6 to 8 from what I've heard.
Well, it says Resident Evil is about 12 hours. That sounds about right. So from midnight to noon, me and this dude who I never spoke with.
Total random.
He never disconnected. He never just like, gotta go, and leave. And I remember because between missions, you're like setting up your loadout, And I remember like sitting in the, because I was the host, and I'm like, I'm gonna sit here for a minute and make sure that like he's got to leave if he wants to leave, whatever. He never left. He kept readying up, and I'm like, let's go. And then we got all the way through, and then I'm like, man, I never spoke to that guy. We beat the game, never got his gamer tag, just in the dust, in the wind. We played the whole game together, and he never disconnected or spoke. And I'm like, wow, that was magical. Like,
That's
when
like
does that
finding
happen?
a unicorn.
For sure. That was a pretty, I don't know, wouldn't say proud moment, but just kind of like wow, that was awesome. Like
so I never had a crowd surround me or anything, but I had a very similar one of my proudest was when I finally beat Guitar Hero 2 on expert, because I didn't think I would ever get good enough to do it. When I finally beat it, I was like the adrenaline was pumping. I was like so stoked. I never thought I'd be able to do it, but I was able to do it. I never beat Guitar Hero 3 on expert because of freaking Raining Blood. I hate that freaking song. There's no consistency to the beat in that song. So I never beat it on expert, but I did beat Guitar Hero 2 on expert, which someone pointed this out in a stream because I mentioned it a little while ago. I was under the impression that the final song in Guitar Hero 2 was Bark at the Moon. They made me realize that the actual final song in the campaign was Freebird.
Oh boy.
Which, but I was able to beat that on expert. But I was thinking, because I never played Guitar Hero 1 except for on my roommate in college. He had, because it was on being an Xbox guy, the first Guitar Hero on Xbox was Guitar Hero 2. So I played a little bit of Guitar Hero 1 on his PlayStation 2, but we didn't have it. And the final song in Guitar Hero 1's career was Bark at the Moon. But they brought Bark at the Moon as DLC to Guitar Hero 2. And I was very proud when I was able to finally beat that on expert as well, because I didn't think I was going to be able to do that as well. So and then eventually I got really into the drums. That's my favorite instrument in the Guitar Hero Rock Band games. So beating Rock Band. I never finished the expert career in Rock Band 1 because of, I think it was Run to the Hills. I was never able to beat on expert, but I did beat the expert career on drums in Rock Band 2, and I got the 100% completion in that game with all the achievements. So those are a couple of my proudest. And then when it comes to not like physical skill in a game because of rhythm and beat, but like actually playing, a more traditional game, is Ninja Gaiden Black, one of my favorite games of all time. Beating that game on very hard. I planned to do Master Ninja, but Master Ninja was way too difficult. The farthest I got this close to getting into the first save statue in the first level, but you have to clear the room to get the statue to activate, and I died in that one. I'm like, this is I'm giving up. But beating it on very hard, I was very stoked for, because that was incredibly difficult.
Ninja Gaiden 2 Ninja Gaidens are geez,
even the originals, which I never played, but those were in. You could unlock the original NES versions in Ninja Gaiden Black, which was another thing I forgot to mention.
Man. Those are some of the best NES games.
Oh yeah,
I've heard they're very good, but very difficult.
They're awesome.
Another thing I forgot to mention back on the launch lineup is that one of my favorite games from the Xbox 360 launch was PGR3, which spawned the Geometry Wars franchise, because it was an arcade game in your garage in that game, and it spawned its own franchise. Nice. Those were great games. So, Mark, would you have any proudest gaming moments?
I mean, I had a recent one. I actually sent you the link to a tweet I made. I actually just sent it to the Liza P Twitter. It was just like a couple weeks ago. So I played and finished Liza P on Game Pass, and then I liked it so much that I bought it on Steam, because I'm like, man, this is like my favorite game of the year. I really didn't see this coming. I figured it was just going to be a generic Souls clone, and that it wouldn't really have any personality to it, but it had tons of personality, and it felt amazing to play. And I played through it again immediately afterwards, so I could also capture some better footage, because I was playing in HDR on Game Pass, and the HDR footage looks kind of crappy. But anyway, so I go through it again, and there's a character in it called Luxasia, who's kind of, if you've played Elden Ring, she's kind of the Millennia of this game. It's like, oh, here's the female warrior that's incredibly difficult, moves super fast, and does impossibly high damage. And I beat her on the first attempt on that second fresh run. So it wasn't a New Game Plus run where I had a bunch of extra like armor abilities or anything like that. It was just another one. It's like, hey, it could have been my first run. It's just now it's me armed with knowledge No extra abilities or anything, just smarts, because I now understand the game a lot better. I was about 20 levels lower than where I beat her on the first run, and I beat her on the first attempt. And I
Nice.
was like, man, I was like, that was pretty crazy. But I have a Rock Band one too that were like
Awesome.
yeah, because yours was Rock Band, right? Not Guitar Hero.
I played both, but
No,
beating.
Pause.
Oh,
Because
mine was Rock Band. Yeah, it was Rock Band.
yeah, because Guitar Hero eventually added drums, and that made
Right.
Guitar Hero World Tour, I think, was the first.
Yeah.
Right. No.
So I was at U of T Scarborough campus, which is a place you can see if you ever see the remake of Total Recall, because
I've seen that movie.
it's a really interesting campus. It's where my parents met, actually. They were both students at that school. And the architecture of it looks like a 1960s vision of the future. So, like, it is kind of like a neat place to set a sci-fi movie. There's plenty of horror movies that were shot there. So, like, if you see a bunch of 60s sci-fi movies, you'll just see the outside of the same building in them. And it's like, yeah, that's a real building that people actually go to school in. But a buddy of mine actually went to school there while I went to York University with Anita Sarkeesian at the other end of the city. I didn't know her. It's just weird. That is the school she went to. So, and I found that funny when I found that out. I was like, oh no, I could have stopped her.
I could have stopped her.
No, listen to her. She doesn't know video games. I promise.
Oh my
But
god.
anyway, so, I was going to visit my buddy Ryan at this place, and it was that actually the place where the scene in Total Recall where there's like a fight scene that takes place there. But it was the same area. It was like a little student lounge. And they had like this Rock Band stage set up, and it was this big like PlayStation like marketing thing. And they had like this contest. We're like, yeah, we're gonna have a contest every hour where like people come up and play Rock Band, and the highest score wins. And you get this prize pack with like a $50 PSN card and a couple of other things. And I get up there and I was playing guitar, but then I was also like, can I also have a microphone? And they're like, well, I mean, yeah, like you can play 2-player you want as long as you don't have a second person up here. And hey, like we'll add the scores. So I played Man in the Box by Alice in Chains. And I can play that and sing it on a real guitar, so it wasn't too tough to do on Rock Band because I got really good at playing songs on Expert. And and it was pretty wild. So I got to play Man in the Box at like a university with like all these people watching because there was a bunch of people there, and I won a prize pack and $50.
Nice.
Awesome. That's dope. So
it's always great. Always great to do. I did something similar where I was like playing guitar and nobody wanted to sing, and I'm like, we're playing Wonderwall. How is no one gonna sing to this?
Oh man, I would.
So I
sing
took-
that one. I don't even sing.
White people who have been to a campfire.
Right? What the hell? So I remember I was sitting on a beanbag chair playing the guitar. I'm like, give me the mic, and I like shoved it under my shirt. And I'm like, I'm singing this. I said, my bay.
Yeah, I did. I had done a Rock Band Rock Band competition one time too, but I didn't do very well because I wasn't very good at it at the time. But it was a lot of fun.
Man, I'd love to do a Rock Band competition and just cheat and just be like, haha, suckers, I'm an actual musician.
So I want to highlight a couple of people in chat's proudest moments. Got DJ. Proudest moment was beating Battletoads as a kid, which is very impressive because that game is incredibly difficult. Unsurprisingly, my buddy Dude 1286, he is 100% completion in the Master Chief Collection, which is nuts because you have to get all the Lasso achievements, and those are crazy.
What's Lasso? Is that Skull?
Lasso is legendary. All skulls on, and the skulls are crazy. Like you get half ammo, you take like double damage. The only way to get your shield back is by meleeing people. Grenades do bigger splash damage. You have no HUD. You die, you go back to the beginning of the level. Unless you're in co-op, you go back to the beginning of the checkpoint.
Wow.
So it's pretty crazy, and he has all of them.
Beast. That dude's a beast.
Yeah, he's a beast. And we have Goes Where Nowhere Does Nothing is for beating I Want to Beat the Guy, which you've never even heard of that, so I don't know what that is.
I Want to Be the Guy. I think it's like a side-scrolling, like kind of like Super Meat Boy, I think, where it's like very hard to platform. Let me triple check. I Want to Be the Guy.
Okay, yeah, check that out because I've never even heard of it. But Matt Cave says that he was playing the original Ninja Gaiden just this morning. That's awesome.
Right. I Want to Be the Guy. It was like almost like a Mega Man clone. Like if you look at the title of the screen, it's a very rip off of. It says I Want to Be the Guy, the movie, the game. Was
The
this
movie,
written
the
by
game.
James? It was written by James. Yeah, it looks like a
And,
Mega Man clone. It's decent.
Okay, I love Mega Man, so I might have to check that out. And James says that his proudest moment can't. No, wrong one. Jumped on me. It can't be repeated on stream. I'm assuming it's what he talked about on last party chat when he was trolling the streamer, the girl that was streaming Dead by Daylight or Friday the 13th or something. I'm assuming that's what he's referring to, but
that wasn't even that bad.
He told that
was
story
hilarious.
last week on stream or last
Yeah,
episode.
that was a great story. That was hilarious. So, yeah, so I've got another stream coming up here in just a few minutes, so we'll wrap it up right there. Paul, amazing musician. Go check out his channel and the music he's got going on. What else you got going on your channel coming up here?
I'm just streaming some games, playing Outer Worlds because I started that and want to do a full playthrough of that. I'm also playing Lies of P. Funny that you, I had a pretty proud
Where
moment
are
once. I'm pretty close to the beginning. I just found I'm pretty close to the beginning. I just entered the little
hotel?
castle where the girl's at.
Yeah, the hotel. Okay,
the hotel.
So you've got the real first skill check boss coming up. Yeah. So
oh, great.
But
which one?
He's like he looks like a cop. He's a robot that looks like a police officer
with the baton.
Yeah.
Is this the second time you encountered this guy?
No,
I remember
not like the small one that you fight in the
beginning.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about he's big. Like he's bigger than the parade master, the first one you fight.
Is he? Okay, because I was pretty proud of beating the parade master on my first try.
Yeah,
I watched Samuel, the infamous part. He's streaming that, and
which weapon are you using?
Oh, the heavy sword.
Yeah, that's what I would use too. So learn to parry. Definitely always try to parry the glowing red attacks because they do a lot of stagger damage.
Yeah.
And learn your charge attack and how to get those executions because you'll find once you start like knocking the enemies down really consistently, you're like, oh man, this game's so good.
Oh yeah. So I was like I said, I was pretty proud of beating the because I got pretty good timing as a musician. So parrying, you just kind of wait for the dude, especially the guy you just said, the first skill check. He has I'm trying to watch his moves. I'm like, all right, he did 2 right there, and then he throws 3 on me, and I'm like, be consistent, you motherfucker.
The thing is, he sort of is, but
you gotta
learn his tells.
Oh yeah,
and because I'm actually working on a New Game Plus right now, and I'm getting decimated because New Game Plus is a lot harder actually, and I think also part of it is I'm using a much different build that I'm not really used to. So at the end of the game though, I turned it into Sekiro because I go like full blown katana, and I'm doing all these parries, I'm moving really fast, I'm dodging back, I'm jumping away, and Lies of P is a really good video game.
It really is. I just got introduced to Souls type games not too long ago, and I'm like, I like this. This is
I'm writing a script on it right now, and I honestly think I think Lies of P is actually one of the best examples of this genre. I know because that seems like blasphemy because people will be like, is it it's not better than Bloodborne? Come on,
right.
I mean it's not worse than Bloodborne.
It's on par. I haven't played Bloodborne.
It's pretty good. Bloodborne's world is a little bit cooler, but even the lore and everything that's in Lies of P is pretty well thought out.
I like it. Yeah.
Music in it. Have you gotten any of the records?
No.
Okay, so there's a mechanic in the game that will affect your ending, so it's worth doing. Where every time you find a record, and you should take the time to buy them if they're available in a shop. That's one of the records you can get in the game, and there's not that many of them. There's an original song, usually perfectly orchestrated with vocals, either kind of jazz or there's a few different genres that they go through. And if you have a gramophone at the hotel, and if you listen to the record, you gain humanity, which is like a stat that it's really all about becoming a real boy, eh? You gotta go into the belly of the whale, save your father from the underworld, and then find out that you actually have a soul.
That was the most Canadian accent I've ever heard coming out of a person.
Every time I talk about Pinocchio, I do a Jordan Peterson voice. And
Oh yeah, that's great. As far what else I got going on, just playing some games, doing some live streams with my band, playing music. I might do some more like production streams where I'm just sitting recording and all that stuff. And popping up on other people's shows. Friday nights, late Friday nights, I got Beelzebub with Devil Made Me Do It, Kenzo, and Ryan Reaper. Good stuff. We just I just a couple hours ago did it. And what else? Oh, I feel like there was something else I was going to mention. I forgot. Oh yeah, and then yeah, you hear me every day on Side Scrollers. That's my music.
So, one other that popped up here was Matt Cave. His proudest moment was completing the lost levels basically in a couple hours. It was New Year's Eve, and he was challenged to do it before New Year's, and he pulled it off. So that's quite impressive. So, Mark, what you got? What do you got going on?
In 2 hours on the Human Cyborg Relations channel, X-Ray Girl and I are doing our relationship show, the dating game. I'm not sure what we're covering tonight. I might need to talk to X-Ray Girl about it. But and then I think after that, she goes to Saucy Saturdays on Wicked Virtue's channel. So I'm probably just going to continue my Cyborg stream where I jump between playing RoboCop Rogue City and Terminator Resistance, which are two Cyborg movie-based games. Hold on one sec. Made by the same studio, which are both really, really good, and I really want them to make a Dread game and get
that would be dope.
Because I think if they make enough money with this game, they could probably get Carl Urban and Olivia Thirlby to be the characters they are in Dread. And even actually, I think even playing as her character might be kind of cool too, because she has like the psychic abilities and stuff. So I think they could do a lot of cool stuff with Dread and have it be like, well, we can't get a Dread 2 going. We can't get a TV show going. Let's have this studio who did a great RoboCop and a great Terminator game, have them make a Dread game. Because apparently they also did a Rambo game, but it sucks. That was the first game, and Terminator was apparently pretty good, and RoboCop is kind of amazing. So I think you should... keep an eye on these tables.
Do you hear X-Ray Girl in the back screaming?
Party animals.
I know. Just the whole time I just hear.
She's not on the same floor as I am. We are on different levels of the house. We only have two. So. We're on different ones.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us for another episode of Party Chat. If you, like I said, if you like listening to Achievement Talk, go check out episode 1 of Achievement Chasers with me and Dude 1286. We did that last night. And then I literally in 1 minute, as soon as I close this down, I'm going to be on the meme stream with the Legion of Memers. And then my usual, I'll have a open mic sometime this week. So I've got no guests lined up for open mic yet this week. So if anyone wants to hop on with me and talk video games, let me know. Happy to have you on. And with that, that'll wrap it up for this episode of Party Chat. Thank you for joining me, my awesome co-hosts, and everyone who joined us in chat. Appreciate you guys. You're all awesome. We will see you next time. All right. In the meantime, everyone, game on.
Game on.